So I want to welcome students. I want to welcome you and introduce two of my colleagues from Graz. Dodi Klimov is the personal assistant to our president, and Dodi has worked all over the college in just about every department, including teaching in our high school program a number of years ago. And also with us this morning is Yafa Howard. Yafa is in the business office and she takes care of making sure everybody gets paid and all the bills are sent out on time and keeps the college afloat that way. So the reason that the two of them are here is we're going to conduct a couple of little experiments to demonstrate how Hebrew reading works and how English reading works. And for that, I needed two mature adult readers. Not that the readers are mature, but their reading is mature. In other words, they learned how to do this a long time ago, and they are reading in their native languages. So Yafa, why don't you tell us where you were born and raised and what your first language is and what you first learned to read in?
I was born in Haifa, Haifa in Israel. What was the next question?
Your native language is?
Oh, is Hebrew. My native language is Hebrew. You can hear it in my pronunciation.
Uh-huh.
And I started reading
Yep.
first grade.
First grade, learned how to read Hebrew.
Yes.
Okay. Dodi, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
I was born in New Jersey and started reading English, I guess in kindergarten, first grade.
And yet both of you have learned to read both Hebrew and English, but I want to make this demonstration about native language reading because learning to read a second language is a little bit different. So this is to show you, the purity of how the different systems work. So with that said, I'm going to share my screen. And today I titled this, Ma nishtana hakriya hazot. Why is this, or how is this reading different? And you will see just exactly how different it is. So we're going to conduct two experiments. The first is a Hebrew reading experiment. So Yafa, when I click to the next slide, what I want you to do is just read it out loud. Read what you see. Okay?
Okay, it's in English. Okay, now, so I have to move this up, I think. Yes, over here. Okay.
Okay, bevakasha.
תגיר התסקיל לטמה, לא ידעתי שיצאם כל כך גבהום, עלו אשפר לדרת עכשיו, שאלו. תרגים מוניציאם בקפילץ, על עצם, ממליל תגיר, אבל אנחנו לא כל כך מוניציאם בקפילץ, לטמה?
Read like a Hebrew school student. What did you notice about this?
This was all turned around. The letters, it looks like it's not Hebrew.
Okay, looks like it's not Hebrew is the critical piece in this.
Yeah.
So, Dodi, I'm going to give you exactly the same instruction. In the next screen, you're going to see something in English print. Please read it. Read what you see.
According to research at an English university, it doesn't matter in what order the letters in a word are. The only important thing is that the first and last letters are in the right place. The reset,
the rest,
okay, can be a total mess and you can still read it without a problem. This is because in English, we do not read every letter by itself, but the word as a whole.
So immediately, Dodie looked at this for about a second and a half and was able to immediately understand what it said, whereas Yaffa looked at the Hebrew and read it as it was written because it didn't make any sense any other way.
Yes.
So, Yaffa, if you'll read again, this is the actual text that you were reading.
I read it looking at the picture.
Well, read the text. The picture.
טיגר הסתכל למטה, לא ידעתי שהעצים כל כך גבוהים. אולי אפשר לרדת עכשיו? שאל הוא. טיגרים מצוינים בלקפץ על עצים, מלמל טיגר, אבל אנחנו לא כל כך מצוינים בלקפץ למטה.
כן.
Makes sense.
Yes, from the Winnie the Pooh collection in Hebrew. And I chose that particular text because it was not something you would ever have necessarily seen before. And so scrambling the letters didn't give you any hints as to what it was about. Whereas in English, you look at it and you know immediately what it says. This basically tells us that Hebrew and English are read differently. This little experiment really shows it because these are two completely skilled readers in their native languages, and one was able to figure out exactly what the scrambled stuff said just by glancing at it. And in the other case, the Hebrew case, you couldn't do it the same way. So there are significant differences, and those differences are primarily taking place at the perception level, and also in moving from perception to comprehension, those two different processes that we talked about in the first week of class. English reading allows you to look at the first and last letters as well as the overall shape of the word. That strategy just totally doesn't work in Hebrew, and there's a reason for that. In English, the words vary in length. English words vary from 1 to about 30 or more than 30 letters. And it also has a lot of letters that they're called ascending letters. They're letters that go above the line, like B and D, H, L, T, and so on. And it also has a number of descending letters, G, P, Q, and so on. And these give English words a distinctive shape. So if you look at the samples over here, TH and one more letter that's kind of in that same line of print. The T and the H are both ascenders, so they get to come through. There's only one word that it could be in English. TH blank T, only one word that it can be. TH blank S can be this or thus. Only two words that it can be. TH blank blank GH can only be though. TH blank 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 GH can only be through. TH blank blank GHT can only be thought. And because of this, you really can read the English words without even knowing what those missing letters are. Partly because of the descending and ascending letters, and partly because of the length of the word. There's a great variation in the lengths of English words. So fluent English readers are able to look at the beginning and look at the end and kind of skip what's in the middle for the most part, unless there's a lot of ascending or descending letters, and derive the meaning from context. Can't do that in Hebrew. Hebrew words lack distinctive shapes. Hebrew is a root-based vocabulary, which means that the average word length is 3 to 6 letters. The shortest word in Hebrew is 2 letters. The longest is about 10 letters. So they all tend to be within the same length. They also lack ascending and descending letters. There's only one Hebrew letter that goes above the line, and that's lamed, and only one descending letter that goes below, a kuf, except for finals. And if it's in the final position, that doesn't help you. So Hebrew words are similar in both length and shape, and reading researchers describe them as saying they lack distinctiveness. At the same time, Hebrew has all those letters that are visually similar. So this gives you a sense of what happens. If you have a bet and a final chaf and two other letters in between, there's a long list of things that it can be. It can be Baruch, it can be Baderech, it can be Barich, it can be Bayadecha, it can be Bazich, it can be Badecha. All sorts of different things that it can be. And if every word follows this kind of pattern, or if the majority of them do, you are not going to be able to derive the meaning from context. So there are significant differences in the way that Hebrew and English are read, and there's a whole series of articles that will be posted this week for you to peruse and come to understand how Hebrew reading is read as opposed to English. And English readers are allowed, or they're able to use redundancies within the writing system. The distinctive word shapes, initial and end sounds, and so on, allows English readers to process those words rapidly. And Hebrew readers, and this is true of mature readers, meaning people who are fluent readers in Hebrew, adults, college students, and above, actually rely more on letter sound correspondences than mature or skilled English readers do. And there were studies that were done in the 80s by Navon and Shimron, where they actually tested it. And what they did to really show how profound this is in Hebrew is they took words where, one sound would have a kamatz and the other would have a patach. And they would mix up the vocalization, mix up the vowels, and it actually slowed the readers down. Even though these were words that could only be one way, but with a change in the vowels, even Israelis who no longer rely on the vowels for reading, it slowed down their ability to process it. It just says that Hebrew readers are really paying very close attention to the sound symbol correspondences, much more so than English readers do. So there are some implications from the research. Decoding, as we know that beginning readers do not read the same way that skilled readers do. Decoding, beginning reading, requires sound symbol translation. That's true in English, that's true in Hebrew, it's true in Spanish and Japanese, and parenthetically, it's even true in Chinese, where there's no alphabetic sound indicated. Even among Chinese readers, there is phonological processing that takes place. We also know that oral reading out loud, is much slower than silent reading. So if you're training students to read out loud, you have to take that into consideration and help them learn to slow their eyes down. Accuracy comes first, and then it's followed by fluency. That's part of the process of learning to read. You're first making all these one-to-one sound symbol correspondences, and then as you see words more often, they become more automatic. You're able to read them much more at a glance, and that leads to fluency, but accuracy comes first. When you are teaching Hebrew reading, especially with beginning readers, nip the use of English reading strategies in the bud. I had a student once in Hebrew school who his sixth grade teacher kept sending him with referrals for extra help, saying he can't read it all, he can't read it all. And I would then send him to the special needs teacher who would test his reading and would come back with a report saying he reads beautifully, he knows all his letters and all his vowels, he can put it all together, and I sent him back to class. And a week later, his classroom teacher sent him with a referral for special help, saying he can't read. This went on for 3 weeks. And finally I said, I have got to figure out what's going on here, because the special ed teacher is telling me one thing, the classroom teacher is clearly seeing something completely different. So I asked the kid, what are you reading in class? What are you guys studying? And he said, the Ve'ahavta. So I handed him the text and I asked him to read it for me. And when he got to the word baderech, he didn't read baderech, he read baruch. And I stopped him. I said, I know exactly what you're doing. You're trying to read this the way you read English. And he said, well, yeah, of course, because he learned to read English and he assumed that Hebrew would work the same way. And I said, you can't do that. You have to read every letter and every vowel. And once he knew the secret to that, he never had another problem, and in fact became a very good Hebrew tutor for other students who were actually struggling. So the question is, what are the best strategies for Hebrew reading? That's what we're going to cover next week. So I want to thank Dodi and Yafa for their help with this absolutely wonderful little demonstration. And it will be something that we have posted in this course for years to come. So I thank you very much. Toda rabah.
You're welcome.
I will say lehitraot and thank you again.
להתראות.